Okay, so really still new to the skill. This is a good call. We're really going to give some basic information to start as far as face and eye shapes, so that as you get more comfortable, you're able to start building your styling so that you're able to customize for your individual clients. But the best part about eyelash extensions is really there's no way to get it wrong. As long as you're working with what the client is coming to you with, and putting on lashes that aren't too heavy or too long, then you're going to be okay. The best advice that I would give you both, since you're, still very new to lashing, is focus on getting the extensions on properly. So you don't have to use long lashes right now. You don't have to use a lot of different curls right now. Your goal is getting the extensions on the client's natural lashes properly, safely, so that you get into the swing of actually applying. And then once you go from there, once you're styling and trying to customize your sets and making things work for each individual client, this information will come, much more handy. But it is a lot of information and a lot of fun stuff to know. So that's why we like to do it early on. This is definitely something I would recommend doing live as often as possible, because there are a couple of different, pieces of information that you're going to want to get from here, and you're not going to get it all at one time. So I wrote out some basic steps to styling. These are in no way the hard and fast rule. This is just one way to do the same thing consistently. So once we are off the call and this video is processed and edited and uploaded, I will include the link to this document so that you can follow the steps, step by step, anytime you're going into this process for lashing and styling a client, so that you know exactly, what the expectation is of the client, and you're able to make the proper decisions as far as what lashes you should be using. So the first thing that we're going to do when it comes to styling is the consultation. Now, if you've only done basic facials, basic lashing up until this point, you know that there's a consultation process. This process is specifically about the client's goals and expectations for the set that they're getting. So this is not the health history. This is not the general information. What brings you in today? Are you looking to relax? You'll get into a little of that, but this part of the consultation is really laser focused on what it is the client is trying to achieve. In this particular case, we're talking specifically about the look of the eyelash extensions that they're coming in for. But I wanted to make that point that consultations as a whole is one big process. This segment of the consultation, we are strictly going to focus on a few pieces of information so that we can determine how to best apply our eyelash extensions so the client gets what it is they're looking for. So what we're going to be looking for on the client is two big factors: their face shape and their eye shape. So if you have not already done this pre-recorded call or the live theory call for styling, I highly recommend doing it right after this. There's a verification for it, but it'll help the face shape and eye shape just for a second. So first thing that you're going to look for is face shape. I have linked a really cool calculator. If you are, techie, or you're really particular and you want your things to be cohesive across the board, I think it'd be really smart to use a calculator like this as opposed to guessing. And it's not really guessing. You're making an educated guess based on what we know about face and eye shapes. But by using a calculator each and every time, when a client comes in and you put their information into the calculator, you know that you're going to get consistent results across the board, across all your clients. And 9 times out of 10, lash stylists, so your competition, they are not going that detailed. They are not putting in the effort. When I lashed, every new client that I took, even if they weren't new to lash extensions, when I asked them, had they ever had their face shape and eye shape analyzed, 9 times out of 10, the answer was like, what is that? So you are building in a trust with your client by getting this information, but you're also gathering information that you're going to need to make sure that the eyelash extension style that you follow is appropriate for your client. Everything does not look good on everyone, but everyone has a style that's going to be complementary to them. So in order to find that, we need to know their face shape and their eye shape. So I'm going to pull up both the calculator that's linked here, and I'm going to pull up the characteristics of each face shape. So let's first go to back in our chapter. If you have not already seen this, we are in chapter 5. Yay. Of course, I would push home. And then we'll get to the appropriate page. Okay, we are in chapter 5, and it is going to talk about, at the very beginning of the chapter, the different face shapes, the different eye shapes. So if you haven't already done the theory call, you have a couple of different face shapes that are going to be important to you. Those are going to be round, oval, oblong or long, square, heart-shaped, and diamond-shaped. So if you haven't already, write these down or screenshot the screen. I'm going to go back the opposite way so that you have a chance to do that. Again, this is chapter 5 in your CEO eyelash extension textbook. So we have diamond-shaped faces. They're often mistaken for square or heart-shaped. They are more angular than other face shapes, but unlike the other face shapes, they are a shorter forehead, and the face is typically widest at the temples. You have a heart-shaped face, which is similar to oval. The only exception is that it has a tapered chin. So you've got a nice fuller forehead, a bit of a reduction in width from the chin, the cheeks down towards the chin. But when you get to the chin, it is going to be more angular and often have some type of a point to give you that heart effect. You then have square faces, which are pretty self-explanatory. If you think about a square, that person's face is as wide as it is long. We've all done geometry at some point. A perfect square as wide as it is long. A face shape tends to be square when it has very few differences in the length and width from one to the other. So that's a great way to compare square faces and determine if it is actually square, if you're only seeing a little bit of a variation in the width and the length. Then we have oblong or long faces. They are longer in length than they are in width. So if you think about a, what is that? I want to say rectangle. I feel like it is a rectangle. In the horizontal position, you know how a rectangle is longer. The sides are not equal in diameter or equal in length like a square, but they still have a boxy appearance. They're just going to be boxier and longer as opposed to boxy and even. From there, you have our oval faces, which are considered universally the most attractive. That's personal preference. I don't believe that attraction is based on numbers. It's really, it's a beauty standard, right? So oval faces are what society has deemed the most attractive. It is the type of face that is going to be slightly wider at the forehead than it is at the chin. It can have prominent cheekbones, but it doesn't necessarily have to. And it can gently tape off to a soft curve on the side. It is going to have a very youthful appearance. It is going to have a very universal standard of beauty appearance. If you have a client with an oval face, they can pretty much manage any type of eyelash style. So keep that in mind, as opposed to the others, which are going to have styles that are very good for them, and they're going to have styles that are no-nos. The last of the faces that you should write down are going to be round faces. My face is a round face, basically looks like a little circle. It's as wide as they are long, but as opposed to being boxy, they're circular. So they're going to be rounder in appearance. I like to say if you had an M&M next to my face, they would be the same shape. I have a round face. It is what it is. Unfortunately for me, wish I had an oval, but it is round. The trick with round faces is that it can vary based on the client's weight and not just genetics. So most people have a genetic disposition for their face shape. But with a round face, you can have a client who would normally be square, but because they have chubbier cheeks or they're carrying more weight in their face, it may appear rounder than it actually is. In a scenario like that, you want to appease the current shape of the face, not, this is what I am normally, but I'm 20 pounds heavier or 20 pounds lighter. So round, oval, so that's 2. Oblong, square, heart, 5. And diamond, 6. There are 6 shapes of the face that you want to be aware of at all times. Again, the calculator that I have pulled up here, let me just get to it. It is really cool because if you use the calculator, you don't have to guess. Let's open link. If you use the calculator, you can essentially put the numbers in and it will compute an answer for you. You can write that on your client chart and be on your way. But with that said, even if you don't use the calculator of sorts, you're still going to use the same type of measurements and you're still going to be looking at the same points of the face. So if you see the little screenshot here, the picture on the screen, you have length that you're looking for. So that's from the top of the forehead down to the point of the jawline. You have the forehead width, which is going to typically be the midline of the forehead, marked here in orange. You have the cheek width, which is going to be from center ear to center ear. I like to have the client do my measurements, or I used to, I don't do clients anymore, but I would have a set of measurements or perception of their face shape with them resting and with them smiling. Because if I smile, my cheeks are going to rise. So I like to get the natural, point of their cheeks where they land. And then I also like to get it smiling because it might tweak the results just a little bit, but it's a matter of preference. And then you have jaw length. That is the length from the midline of the face. So the jaw, the middle of the jaw, all the way down to the middle of the chin, all the way up to the bottom of the ear. That is the jaw area, and you want to get the length of the jaw. The best part about using a calculator is, like I said, it's going to give you universal results. The information is based on the number. So as opposed to perception, what I see versus what the client may see for themselves, and so on and so forth. By using a calculator, you eliminate the information bias, right? We eliminate the fact that I know where to contour and I know how to trick the eye. You eliminate all of that and you are able to get a more cohesive result. Again, this is really good to do, especially if lashing is your primary business. This is something that you should be offering clients for free. Come in, get your face and eye shape analyzed so that I can create a custom eyelash look just for you. I want you to keep in mind how I say custom because we're going to talk a little bit about actual eyelash styles in just a bit. So if you ladies have a measuring tape or some type of ruler with you or a ruler on your phone, we can get the measurements and actually compute it together. If you don't, if one of you will just come on camera and let's assess the face shape in real time, that way we can have done it and be able to go on to the eye shapes. Anyone can volunteer, or you both can go if you're curious to know about your face shape. Hey, wait, hold on. Mixing my camera. Fantastic. You're like, I was not prepared for this. I understand. Okay. So let's go over the measurements we talked about. So we're going to get the length of the face. So from the hairline down to the chin. We're going to get the width of the forehead. So from side to side at about the midline of the forehead. We are going to get the width of the cheeks, so from cheek to cheek, and then we're going to get the jawline measurement. So can you do me a favor and hold the camera steady whenever you get a second and just do a regular smile for me? Perfect. Okay, you can stop smiling and you can come off camera. I mean, you can go off camera. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to have a little fun with your face. All right, starting broadcast. And because we have this, we can also do your eye shape as well. That's me in the background. Photo. Okay. Everyone can see? That's you, so cute.
Yes.
Right? You're like, yay. Thanks for that. You look great, I promise. Okay, so one way that I like to do this is taking a picture of the client. If you are doing these type of consultations for like free, like every Monday you do them for free, you can have the client send you a picture just like this. And I like to use on my iPad. I just go to edit and I can actually mark it up. So I'm going to take my ruler. Jesus, Lord, help me. Come back, buddy. And I can actually get that information just like that. So now I've got a midline of her face. I'm just going to take a pen and I've made it straight down. And then I'm going to turn my ruler again. We're going to get the width. Let's change the colors because we're fancy. Okay. And then we're going to get the same width, but cheeks. Let's go middle of the ear. It's about right there. Let's make it blue. Okay. And I'm actually going to fix this line at the top, the red one. Because we only want to make the line as long as the actual area, because it'll make our measurement much easier to see once we get rid of our ruler. And then we'll do the same for the jaw. Okay. Let's stop right there and make sure we have all of our lines. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Just pull that right back up. We have face length, we have forehead width, cheek width, jawline. If we had I believe the numbers are on the ruler, but we won't do the actual measurement. We'll measure it by eye so that we can determine her face shape. So the face shapes that we have available to us to choose from are going to be, let's go back to the book. First thing that I like to do is eliminate shapes that the client cannot be. So in my opinion, she wouldn't be a round face. Does everyone agree to eliminate round?
Yes.
Perfect, I agree. So then the next one that we could possibly eliminate, maybe oval. It says when the forehead is slightly wider than the chin, we have prominent cheekbones and the face sometimes gently tapers to a soft curve on the side. It's one of the most versatile shapes. So is our forehead slightly wider than the chin area? So is our red line slightly wider than the point that goes from the green line to the yellow and then the other side green line to yellow? Do we think that it's a little wider?
Yes.
Is it? Is her chin, her forehead wider where it's red, then it would be from the green to on both sides. Let me show you. Let me do it this way so that you can see both sides of the green, because right now only one side of the green is showing.
Okay, I'm just looking. I guess I'm just looking at her chin. I'm like, it's so narrow.
So okay, I'm glad you said that. It's not just the chin, it's the chin area. So it's from the
Okay.
green line from the right to the green line to the left. So the whole green line.
Oh, okay. Well,
Is
then
that space? Exactly. It's not. So she wouldn't be oval. So we've eliminated round, we've eliminated oval. We have 4 more to choose from. We have oblong or long. This is where the face is longer lengthwise than widthwise. She's going to have a prominent forehead, cheekbones, and jawlines that are generally about the same width. So I wouldn't say that the width of her face is generally the same. It is for the chin and the cheeks, but it definitely tapers in where where her forehead is. Would you agree with that?
yes.
I would agree with that as well. So we'll keep oblong, but we won't. Let's not eliminate oblong just yet. Let's go to square. I think we can eliminate square because it's not cohesive as far as length and width goes. It's definitely a very difference in those numbers. So I would eliminate square right off the bat. And then you have heart, which is similar to oval, but the exception is the tapered chin. Does that ring any bells? Is she giving heart shaped? Anyone think she's giving heart shape? So we've eliminated square, oval, and circular. We've got oblong and long still in the game. I think we could keep heart shaped in the game as well because she definitely has a defined chin. Her forehead is not too much wider or too much shorter. So we can keep heart shaped. We can keep oblong, in my opinion. And then we have diamond, which can be mistaken for square or heart shaped. It's angular like the other face shapes, but unlike the other two, the forehead is shorter. The face is often widest at the temples instead of the forehead, and the chin is pointed, but no less so than a heart shape. So temples, does everyone know where the temples are?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna make temples our wild card color. So temples is gonna be pink. We're gonna start her temples about right here. No, that is under my line. So there's her temple. So is her temple a little wider than her forehead? Temple's pink, forehead's red.
Yeah. Yes.
I agree. Is her jawline still pretty angular? Is it pointed? Green.
Yes.
I agree as well. If I had to guess of the three, if I had to choose without actual measurements, I would say diamond shaped. But the best way to be sure is compute the measurements. Another thing that you can do is if you are a visual type of person and you prefer not to work with like the measurements or the numbers, you can go to good old Google and look up some diamond face celebrities. Okay, let's go J-Lo. Does Miss Brianna's face shape match this face shape?
I would say it's kind of similar.
I would say it's kind of similar as well. Only thing that I see that's not as similar is her cheeks.
That's what,
But
yes, I was gonna say
I
her cheeks
I
were a little
think that's
more.
I think that's because she's smiling, because look at these cheeks.
Oh yeah.
She's just got a little more of a predominant cheek. She could get away with potentially a heart shaped, but I would probably say diamond or heart shaped. In order to be 100% sure on a face like hers, I would do the calculations, because it's with the cheeks, it's saying, oh, it's kind of heart shaped, but without the cheeks, so if she's not smiling, I think she could get away with being a diamond shape as well. So I would use this information to determine, am I going to go with a style that's best for a diamond or a style that's best for a heart shape? So let's move a little further down in our steps. We're still in consultation. So step 1, consultation, face shape. So for our model, we are stuck between diamond and heart. Okay, now let's do the same, but let's do her eye shape specifically. So her eyes in the picture, let's just mark that done. We'll go there and let's look up eyelash. Some eye shapes and get some information on those. So the chart that we have in our photo below is this one that's pulled up, but I want to pull it up this way as well so that you can see both the chart and the client's eyes. You have 5 predetermined eye shapes that you could choose from. Monolid, which is where the lidded area of the eye does not have a fold. You have a downturned eye, which means the inner and the outer corner of those two. So the inner corner here, let's go back to our edit and identify our inner corners. We're going to highlight those: inner corner, outer corner. So the inner and the outer corner, for the eye to be considered downturned, the outer corner would have to be lower than the inner corner. You have the same in reverse, which would be upturned. The inner corner would have to be slightly higher than the outer corner. You have a hooded eye. I have a hooded eye. It's very much so annoying. And it is where the hood portion of the eyelid is slightly protruded or heavily protruded and actually folds over the crease. So for most people, well, not most people, that's an unfair statement. For some, the beauty standard is considered to have the eyelid that has a slight crease, but there is no predominant fold. That is ideal for makeup looks because essentially you're able to see the entire look. It's the same with eyelash extensions. If they have a fold, they are no longer monolid. If that fold protrudes heavily above the bottom line of the fold, then the client would be considered hooded. And then you have protruding eyes, which essentially means the eyeballs themselves pop out of the forehead, almost like a fishbowl effect. So this matters to you because that is going to help determine what eyelash extensions will look really nice on the client and what eyelash extensions will play up features that aren't necessarily considered flattering regarding the beauty standard. So I say considered flattering because at the end of the day, we get these services to appease a beauty standard. Because if we weren't, then we'd all be walking around with our natural faces being our beautiful selves. The reality of it is natural, unless you are born with what is considered the beauty standard, is not the goal that your clients are trying to achieve. With that said, that doesn't make the features that they have ugly or unattractive. That just means they're not currently the beauty standard. All that we're doing when we're providing these services, and this is across the board, is we are figuring out a way to take the client's natural features and manipulate the eye into appearing closer to the beauty standard. I'm air quoting beauty standard here because I didn't make it up. You didn't make it up. Who decided it was the standard? But at the end of the day, that's the look that we're trying to achieve. So we have hooded, monolid, upturned, downturned, protruding, and what's the other one? No, I said hooded. So all 5 of them that you can choose from. There are some slight variations to this, but these are the 5 that you want to be most familiar with. Again, if you take a picture of your client, you can save a lot of time by getting a nice eye-open photo of the client. We're going to take another line. Let's get another color. We already used blue. Oh, well, we're going to use red again. And we're going to make that line across the client's eyes. You are going to start from the bridge of the nose and take it straight through the first corner of the eye. And based on this picture, it's very hard to tell with this picture. Do you think we can take another picture of your eyes? Do you mind coming back on camera? I mean, we've, been showing your face for 20 minutes, so hopefully you don't mind.
You want me to get closer or no?
Yes, and I'm gonna try to get, and then look straight into the camera. Perfect. You're okay. And hold on, I almost got it. Jesus Lord. Got it. That's exactly what I need. Thank you. Now I can see better. Okay, I'm gonna save that and then I'm gonna go share my screen again. Okay, screen is shared. We are done with this. Let's go to our next picture. Much, much better. The eyes are open. I can see. And now we're going to go ahead and put that line through the inner corner straight out. We're not going to try to match it to the outer corner because we want to determine if it's downturned or upturned. So we're just going to start with a single line straight through. And we will allow that to be our guide. So we'll start here. That is terrible line. Now, why is this ruler way off to the side? I can't even see it. Midline of the eye starting through the inner corner. And now we can make our line based on that. Also, if you're not using technology in your beauty business, what are we doing? It's 2022. Makes everything easier. Okay. So what we're going to check for to determine her eye shape is, one, is it going to be upturned, downturned, monolid, or protruding? Any of those 5 options. Just looking at it, it's definitely not upturned or downturned. She's got a pretty solid line through the inner and the outer corner, so it's not up or downturned. She has a little bit of a hood. Based on the picture, I would say hooded for sure. She is not protruding in any way, so the eyes are not popping out of the socket or not giving a fishbowl effect in any way. So she looks to have a almond shaped eye, meaning this area here is of an almond shape. The one on our left is a better example of an almond shape. Let's take off the right one. And it's hooded. So I would say an almond eye with a little bit of a hood. The eye itself can also be round. What you could do is simply draw a circle, and you see how it doesn't fit. Almond is a much better shape for her eye, so we know she has an almond eye, slight hood with a diamond slash heart-shaped face. The jewelry's still out on that. I'll have you take your measurement so that we can get exact, a scientific approach to it as opposed to an opinion. But to me, it's given diamond, but you can go diamond or heart. We'll see what the shapes, what lashes look best on each one, and see if you can get away with kind of rocking with either one of those type of styles. So let's go back to our list. We have determined for our client, she has a hooded almond, not a mind. Hooded almond eye. And we'll go to our text and just find a little bit of information about the different sets of eyes. So closed set, wide set, her eyes are set either close together or wider apart. The best way to determine that is by looking at the space in between the eyes. So if this space here, and I'm just going to mark it, is more than one eye width, so one of these green dots width, longer than this space, so longer than, if this red box is longer than this green box, then she has wide set eyes, meaning they are wider apart. If it's shorter, like noticeably shorter, she has close set eyes, meaning her eyes are set really close together or wide. She has neither a close set or a wide set. She looks to have a normal set eyes. They're pretty much symmetrical. So neither of those. We're sticking with almond and hooded. Almond eyes, which are twice as wide as they are high, meaning one, the shape of the eye is going to look like an actual almond, but it is longer widthwise than it is height wise. And that is true of her eye. She could also have deep set eyes, meaning that they sit further into her face. That is going to be this space in between here. If there is a lot of space from the top of her nose to the inner corner of her eye, then she has a deep set eye, meaning the eye is sitting deeper into the socket. It's hard to tell with the picture, but are your eyes pretty far back in your face? Or are they kind of surface level?
Kind of surface level.
Kind of surface, okay. So they can be a little bit on the deeper side. They can trick you into thinking they're deeper than they are, because just based on the picture, and it could be the lighting. So with her, I would definitely be careful of that, because I wouldn't want to put anything that's going to be too dark. We know she's not monolid because we've already determined that she's hooded. You can't be monolid and hooded. And then she has protruding, she doesn't have protruding eyes, meaning they're not bulging out of the socket. They're not giving that fishbowl effect. They're not downturned or upturned. They are perfectly symmetrical. And that is a pretty good assessment of her eye based on a picture. So if this was a client coming in, I would say she is in between a diamond and a heart-shaped face. She has a hooded almond eye, and I would use this information to type out my avoid. Now, this chart is really up to interpretation, right? This is all perspective. So based on the lashes themselves, if you do this, this is a perspective. This is what it can make the client's eye look like. This is not necessarily hard and fast. It's going to have variation. The reason I recommend starting by using these as rules is that you can always tweak them as you get more experience. More cultures are going to have a different look when it comes to certain things, so the rule may not apply. Skin color is going to play a role, lifestyle is going to play a big role. So you can use the rules, but understand that these are rules that can be tweaked, not necessarily broken. So let's look at the rules for almond eyes. For an almond eye, which she has, we're going to avoid nothing. There's really no negative impact of an almond eye. There's no shape or style that we can do that would negatively impact an almond eye. Because of that, what I would say is, because she doesn't need any correction, if there's anything that she leaned towards that we weren't 100% sure about, like I was asking about the deep set, I would also go into that and make sure to avoid whatever those avoids are. And then tweak it as as I build a relationship with her. So let's just say, because she's got an almond eye, there's no correction needed. She's got the universally, easiest eye to work with. Everything looks good on her. But there's a little concern for how far back they sit in the socket, or based on the picture, there might just be a shadow. So we want to make sure that we're prepared to correct it if we do see that she's a little deeper set than we thought. So we're going to avoid anything too dark or dense. So I may not put mega volume lashes on her, and I may not put anything that's going to be really heavy on her. Now, if she's looking for that, that's a matter of, do I recommend it? Maybe not. Let's try it. This is what I do think. If you are unhappy with it, we can adjust it down, or let's start here and adjust up to that. But it's really a matter of just building that trust and talking to your client. And then there's no monolid or protruding. Let's find close set. There's no close set. There's no wide set. We don't need to avoid anything with that. And then let's do the same for the face shapes. So diamond, we're thinking diamond, or what did you say, heart? Yep, diamond or heart. So a diamond face, we would avoid lengthening the face. So we don't want to make it any longer than it is. So we're going to avoid adding height in the middle of the lash line. So what that's saying is, because with this face shape, it could tend to be longer in length than it is in width, meaning ear to ear versus forehead to chin. We're not going to put any long lashes or any longer lengths in the midline of her eye. So we're not going to put any long lengths here. We are going to probably put our longer lengths out, like a cat eye, or in like a reverse cat eye, depending on what the client told us her goals were. So one of our avoids is going to be length in the midline of the eye. And then let's do the same for the heart portion of the face. Traditional cat eye, as long as lengths can widen the forehead. Let's look at her forehead. I don't think it is too wide. I don't think we'd get in trouble if we did that, but for the sake of argument, let's avoid cat eye or too much of a cat eye. We can do, a mild cat eye, meaning 10, 11, 12, 13, as opposed to 10, 11, 14, 16. So there's an extreme cat eye. There's a gentler version of a cat eye. But for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and also avoid. I feel like my keyboard is not right. Let's avoid an extreme. Okay. So then my question from there, before we went into the next step, is asking the client what it is that they have had in the past, what they like, what they don't like, so on and so forth. So these are some of the questions that we would ask. And we're going to go ahead and ask our client these questions. So, Brianna, what kind of lifestyle do you have? What kind of work do you do? What kind of, general day-to-day activity are you going for?
Lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always at home.
Always at home. Okay. Do you work out?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Do you get dressed up a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you get dressed up to go to church, or do you get dressed up to go to parties?
Parties.
Okay. So, from that information, I know that one, my client is, based on her lifestyle, she is comfortable with something that may be a little bit darker, a little bit sexier, a little bit wilder, because she is staying at home. She's doing a little bit of a workout type situation, but nothing, she's not going out there doing parkour. So she doesn't need any, we don't have to worry about anything that's going to interfere with that. She didn't mention glasses or contacts. Do you wear glasses or contacts?
Yes, both.
You do wear both, okay? Okay, so because of that, we're not gonna go too long on length. And then she says she does get dressed up a lot, and that dressed up is for parties over a professional or a religious type of environment. So again, we can lean a little more to something that's a little more risque, as opposed to something that I would like that's gonna be, plain and boring. So that's general lifestyle questions, right? We're just kind of getting a base for who our client is. And then we're going to ask them, have you ever had lashes before?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. We love a client that has had lashes before. Why? Because they know what they like and they know what they don't like for the most part. So what did you like about your previous lashes?
It was a wispy set with spikes.
Wispy with spikes. How long?
I think it had different lengths in between, and I think the biggest length was 16.
Perfect.
I think the smallest was 10.
Okay. Was it a volume set or hybrid or classic?
It was a hybrid.
Was it on the darker side or was it on the lighter side as far as fullness?
Darker.
Okay, and do you know about what width or curl they used?
I can check real quick, like to see if they posted it
Okay.
with the post.
All right, go ahead and check. Let's see. If I had to guess, they did a D curl and they probably did 0.15 for the classic, and they probably did, if it was darker, 0.5, maybe 0.7, made some bigger fans. But let's see what the post says if she posted it.
Yeah, I don't think she posted it.
Okay, no worries.
The curl.
Perfect. No problem at all. What I would go from there is say to the client, do you have a picture of it?
Yes.
Perfect. Let them show us the picture. So go ahead and pull up the picture and show the camera if you don't mind.
Okay.
Let me get to back to my Zoom. I'll stop sharing. So let's just see what we got.
Hold on. How do I? Okay, hold on.
Pretty. That's yours. Oh, I know exactly who you did your lashes.
Yeah.
Love her. Okay, that looks really good. So let's do this. I'm gonna screenshot that. Hold on one second. She did a great job. Can you bring it
Yeah.
back? There we go. Oh, let me see. Watch me struggle. Lord help me. Okay, hold on. Got it. All right. That looks amazing. So I can tell you just based on the picture, I'll share my screen again. Hold on one moment. All right, I'm sharing my screen. All right, to that photo. So we can see length on the bottom of on the gel pads. So 10, 11, that looks like 13. I'm not quite sure, but if she went up to 16, it's obvious that the 16 are those fans. So she made closed fans for her spikes, which they look incredible. She did a really good job. And then she used the shorter length, which looks to be like a 14 to fill in the area. And then the shorter, the 10s, 11, she used those to get that darkness at the bottom. So let me just point it out on here. And obviously this is another artist's work, so you can't know for sure, but over time you'll be able to like look at these and say, okay, this is what it looks like to me. Let's just go green. These are our closed spikes, and that's our 16s. So we're going to emulate the 16 there. These are open fans. I would probably say those are 13, 14s if I had to guess without being able to touch them. And then everything else down here, I would say those are the shorter lengths, 10s, 11s, giving definition and volumes. I don't see very many classics, so she definitely used, I would say, 70-30 classic, and then this is volume. So 70% volume, 30% classic, and that definitely looks like a D curl. Let's put our D curl here. D curl, highest length 16, lowest length 10, 11 with spikes. Very easy to recreate this look. I think this looks would be appropriate for the client. And the best way to verify that is let's pull up the look next to what we said to avoid based on her face shape. So we said avoid length in the midline of the eye or an extreme cat eye. Did she put length just in the midline, or did she put it all over?
I think she put it all over.
I think she put it all over as well because it's even. She's got longer lengths throughout the entire eye. So we're not drawing the eye specifically up in one area. So that was very good. And then we also said let's avoid an extreme cat eye. Even though 16 is a long length, it's not just a 16 on the ends, just on the corner. It looks like she used 16s throughout. So not only does it balance her eye because it's throughout, it doesn't draw the eye one way or the other. When you look at the set on the screen, it's very uniform, but still giving the spikiness that she was looking for. And it doesn't make the client's eye look any wider or any longer, or the client's face look any longer than we would want it to look. So this is very spot on for the face shape and for the eye shape that she has. I think this is a very good set for you. I would absolutely have no problem if I was your taking over doing this type of set on you. I think it looks incredible. From there, we got our photo. So we are gonna just check mark a photo. Anytime you can get a photo, the better. Sometimes clients can describe one thing and it be completely different. You said spikes, and most of the time when people say spikes, they don't mean actual spikes, but that's spikes. So photo, spot on. And then we talked about her previous lashes, and last question would be occasion. Are you getting lash extensions for an event, or are you getting lash extensions for this is how I want to maintain my look? That information is going to contribute to what you do as well. Based on her lifestyle, I would be okay giving her a set like this because it's not going to be a problem for Sunday school. Because she's more she's more of a night owl. She's entertaining. She's living a different lifestyle. So I don't have to worry about it competing with a professional environment or anything like that. So asking those questions after we've determined her face and eye shape are next step. So we've done the full consultation just for the getting the information. Step 1 is done. From there, we can identify the basic set. Because she already has a set that we're working from, we would essentially be recreating a set as opposed to using a prefab set. But just as a general rule, there are about 4 sets that are universal, right? And I'm going to point them out to you. Natural, cat eye, open eye, and doll eye. I personally think a open eye and a doll eye are very similar, but a doll eye is still separate from open eye. But all the other sets are variation of those 4: natural, cat, doll, open. For instance, Kim K, feather, kitten, squirrel, all of those are variations of those main 4, which is great for you as an artist, but difficult to maintain cohesiveness in your styling. So what I recommend you do, and I wouldn't worry about this right now, but what I would recommend you do is have those 4 sets named, right? My natural eye is this variation. My cat eye is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I can do an extreme cat eye, 9, 10, 11, 14, 16. I can do a reverse cat eye, 16, 14, 13, 12, 11, going the opposite way. But a cat eye is a cat eye. It's a incremental change from shortest to longest, right? Your cat eye for your brand can be cat eye, right? A client can come in and say, I always get a cat eye. That's what I want. Great. Same with the open, same with the baby doll, same with the natural, right? You're just going to follow the natural line of the client's lashes. Where they're longer, you're going to go longer. Where they're shorter, you're going to go shorter. But essentially 4 main sets. From there, you are customizing the client's lashes to fit the information that you got in a consultation. If she told me that she wanted an extreme cat eye and I felt like, based on your face and eye shape, that's not going to look very good, I can inform the client why. I can show them pictures. I can show them, what is going to look better on their eye shape. And I can even do a variation of any of those styles that would work for the client. So for a client that may not be suited for a cat eye, I might do a cat eye that's a much lighter version. So 9, 10, 11, 12, as opposed to 9, 10, 14, 16. Does that make sense to everyone? It's all about customizing the sets, but there's no new set under the sun. Everybody on the same page with me? Also, it is freezing.
Yes.
Perfect. After you've identified the basic set that you're going to follow, then you get to customize that set. The way you customize it are with 4 points. Is it going to be classic, hybrid, volume, or mega volume? What diameter are you going to use? What length are you going to use? What curler you're going to use? 2 of those things are determined by the health of the client's natural lashes. If the client's natural lash is 10 millimeters in length, please do not put an 18 millimeter lash on the natural lash. It is too heavy. It will weigh the natural lash down. It's not going to last, and you're going to risk the client's natural lashes falling out prematurely because of the weight of the extension. Same for diameter. Diameters range from 0.03 to 0.25 in diameter. When I learned how to lash, using 0.25 diameter was normal. It was wildly acceptable. That was okay. There is no one whose lash extensions are strong enough to take that kind of diameter. It's really just not. Okay, so let me go to lash diameters so that I can show some different diameters from a different perspective. But when it comes to length and diameter, I would recommend not going too much heavier than the natural lash as far as diameter goes. 0.03, 0.05, 0.07, 0.10, 0.15. The highest diameter I use on any client is 0.15. The thinner the lashes, the lower the diameter. I have done a classic lash set with a 0.10 diameter lash. Much older client. She got 8s, 9s, and 10s, and we did 0.10 in diameter classic. It was very light, very natural, but it was not too heavy for her lashes. When it comes to length, I like to go 2, maybe 3 times, 3 points, not times, 3 points higher than the client's natural lashes. So eyelash extension points. Let's look it up here on the chart. This is one of my favorite because I like the way it layers down the length. Okay, everyone should be able to see the screen. The curls are at the top. We're not talking about those just yet, but the lengths and the width, so diameter and the length, 6 millimeter is the shortest length you can get. At the time of this chart, 16 millimeter was the longest you can get. Now I believe you can get up to 20, maybe 22. That's for the posh girls. That's not for me, but they do have much longer lengths available now. At the school, I think the highest we go is 15. Oh no, the highest we go is 16. And even then that was a struggle. I was like, oh yeah, go ahead and do 16s. But I've yet to see many people who can actually hold a 16. But when I say I like to go 2 or 3 points higher, this is what I mean. So I will take the client's natural lashes. I will find a lash in each stage of growth. So I will take a Antigen, Baby Lash, Telogen, mid-length. No, I'm sorry, not Telogen. Catagen, mid-length, Telogen, resting face, the longest lashes that I have available that are ready to fall out. So Anagen, baby lashes, they're going to be the smallest. Catagen, mid-row, they're still growing. Telogen, the lashes that are going to be the longest and ready to fall out. I would measure each one of those to see about where they range by picking an extension similar to the curl of the client's natural lash. That's typically going to be a J, B, or C. Most people aren't going to have J's and B's hanging out anymore. So if you want to keep a tray of J just for measuring, that's ideal, but you can get away with using a C. I'm going to take that extension, I'm going to put it up to the client's natural lash, and I'm going to determine if it is, what length it is. And then I'm just going to mark that on my chart. I'm going to do the same thing for all 3 levels of lash, Anagen, Catagen, Telogen. And then from there, I'm going to count 2 to 3 lengths longer. And that is the highest I will use on the client. If the client is not happy with that, then that is not my client. I will not do their lashes. So that is the matter of personal preference. I think health of the natural lash is more important than overall style. But it really is, it's really up to you and your integrity. If the lash is too long, it's going to fall out. It's going to be too heavy. It's going to weigh them down. And ultimately, repetition is the name of the game. The longer your lashes stay on and the healthier your client's natural lashes are, the longer you have a customer. Width, I'm going to do the same thing by just comparing the width of the extension to the width of their natural lashes. And I'm going to try to find a width that is comparable, maybe a little bigger, but not too much bigger. So what I mean is if a client's natural lash is 0.05 in width, so 0.5 millimeters. That's the one at the top. This guy right here. If my client's natural lash looks like that, do you think it is appropriate to put this extension on it, the 0.25, the 0.25? Anybody think that's okay?
No.
No, it's not. That is going to destroy that 0.05 natural lash. It's not going to hold it. It may hold on for a little bit, but it's going to fall off and it's going to take the client's natural lash with it. So I would like to stay, 1 to 2 points up. So if the client's natural lash is the 12, the highest I would use would be a 20. If the client's natural lash is a 5, the highest I would use is a 10. So on and so forth. If the highest is a 15, the heaviest would be a 0.25. I'm not going to lie to you. I have not used anything over a 0.15 in the last 4 years of lash extensions. Why? Because 0.15 is generally okay for most natural lashes. Only exception to that is when I'm getting an older client that's right around that 0.5 to that 0.7. From there, I'll use a 0.10 or even a 0.07, depending on the client, and make a very small 2D fan if I have to. Do the length and the width of extensions make more sense to you guys now? Everyone comfortable with that and how to choose?
Yes.
What about how to measure?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. The last option is curl. Okay, that's a picture, no wonder. The last option is curl, and we'll go back to the chart that we were at. These are the curls that are available to you on the market at this time. I believe there is a D plus now as well. There's also a, CC is here. So you have J, B, C, CC, D, L, and L plus. The lash extension curl that you choose is going to be determined by the overall look that the client is going for and their natural lashes and their eye shape. So when it comes to the eye shape, there are a couple of points that you want to know for each of the curls that are available to you to avoid. So let's go back to the beginning. So for close set eyes, you want to avoid longer lengths in the first section of the eye. With that being said, you also want to avoid any extreme curls in the from the middle of the eye inward, because you don't want that curl to curl in and make the eyes look even closer or point even closer to each other. You want to use the same or similar lengths throughout the full eye, and it would really just be about balancing each of the sections. For that client, the highest curl that I would use would probably be the CC. For a wide set eye, curl wise, you want to use any type of curl that's not going to spread the lash extensions, the natural lashes, further apart. So on the the outer corners, I would follow the same rule. Nothing above a CC, maybe even a D, if it's going to be faced from the midline of the eye out to the corner, because you don't want to draw the person looking eye curling up towards the corner, because it's just going to pull those wide set eyes further apart. Almond eyes, no correction, no avoiding. You can put anything pretty much under the sun on an almond eye. The only caveat is making sure the face shape supports it. So a monolid almond eye can support an L or an L plus. Because they have no lid, there's nothing that's going to hit, that's going to bounce. But a hooded eye, especially a very heavy hooded eye, is not going to support an L plus or an L, maybe even a DD, because it might be a little too much of a curl and actually hit the client at the eyelid, especially if you're using a longer length. For monolid, the goal is to lift, meaning more curl. So the higher curls are perfect for a monolid. You want to avoid at all costs a J, B, or C for a monolid, because there's literally no way to, you have to curl, you have to put some curl, you have to put some definition, you have to put some dimension in the eye of a monolid. And then from there, protruding eyes. With a protruding eye, that is a very, you notice a protruding eye, it pops out. So you don't want to use too much curl. You want to not pronounce the bulge of the eye. So a lighter curl C's, I probably wouldn't even go CC, would be ideal for a protruding eye. Downturned, these downturned and upturned can be a little tricky because you may have to mix curls depending on how great the downturn is. So let me just show you what I mean. If your client's eye turns downward, like on the arrow, it's showing the bottom goes down, using a curl on a D curl on the outer corner and a CC curl on the inner corner can actually help balance the midline of the eye, reducing how much of a downturn you're tricked into seeing. So you don't have to be afraid of using more than one curl in a set. Same for the upturned. You're not going to want to go put an L plus on an upturned eye in the corner. You're going to make it look like their eye is sky high. You want it to be about balance and consistency and getting as close to the universal standard oval eye, almond eye, so oval face, almond eye. So you want to play up anything that is going to trick the visual appearance of the client to look more like an oval face and an almond eye, if that's what the client is going for. At the end of the day, it's 2022, and let me tell you something, people are embracing their natural features a lot more than 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So you want to approach this with some integrity, and you want to approach it with a sense of everyone's features are beautiful. Don't assume someone wants to, air quote here, correct something. They may like their downturned eyes. So you're going to have to consult with the client, find out what they find beautiful about themselves, find out what they want to highlight, what they want to hide, and then use your expertise to make it happen for them. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions on any of the information we talked about?
No, I don't.
Okay. So the next step from here, obviously for you two, would be to really get some practice just with your application, getting comfortable with selecting width and length that is appropriate for your client's natural lashes. And then from there, figuring out those 4 basic styles: doll, cat, natural, open eye, and then learning to tweak them to fit different face and eye shapes so that you're confident working on any client that walks into your treatment room. The very last step, the very last section is tape, map, and then lash. So once you have done your consultation and you've determined face and eye shape, determined the client's goals, then you can identify the set the basics, figure out what the rules need to be, what lengths, what curls, what things you can use and what things you should avoid, depending on what you're trying to achieve for the client. From there, you're going to go tape the client, map the client by marking onto the gel pad or the tape. I haven't mapped in years, I'm not going to lie to you, but you should consistently map when you're getting started so that you know you have a game plan going in and you don't get confused or forget. And then start the lashing process. If I could give you any piece of advice as you start styling your actual clients and not just lashing, is figure out a phase. So phase 1 for me is always building a fence. That is taking my middle length, if I'm doing 10, 12, 14, that's taking my 12s, placing them everywhere that there's going to be 12s, placing my 10s, put them everywhere they're going to be 10s, 14s, everywhere there's going to be 14s, and getting some basic coverage. That will build out a fence, that'll build out that style just enough for you to actually stand up, look at your client from face to face. So they're laying on the bed. So instead of you being behind them, you walk to the side of the table and look at them face on. You will be able to determine if your style is even working just based on that. So that's always my first phase. I build a fence, I build a foundation, and then from there, I go in and I build it up. I stop, I check. I build it, I stop, I check. I like to work both eyes at the same time because it'll allow me to balance any issues that I may run into in real time, as opposed to I do a beautiful cat eye on the right, only to get to the left and notice the lashes are not holding it because they don't have as many lashes, or the lashes in that corner are not as long. Whatever it may be, I can correct as I go, as opposed to doing a full eye and then trying to make them match at the end. So that's my advice when you go into styling, is really have a plan and also work through that plan eye to eye consistently throughout the service, build that fence, and then correct as you go so that you can achieve the look that you're actually going for, that the client asked for. And they're not going to open their eyes and be, you're not going to look at it for the first time after you've untaped them and now you're surprised by the results. Okay. Any questions pop up from here?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
No, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So if you have not already, go ahead and, find, tape a mannequin, do a basic classic natural set, pick 3 to 4 lengths, mark out on your gel pad where you want to go with each length, what curl you're going to use, do it, and then turn it in as an extra hours assignment so that we can see your general grasp on the styling concept. And then when you are in facility, next time you're working on a live person, let's go through the whole process from step 1, consultation, all the way through to step 4, tape, map, and lash, so that you can see how the whole process looks in real time.
Okay.
All righty,
Okay.
ladies, I have you clocked in from 10 to 9:35. Thank you both for participating. I'm going to get this video edited at some point this week. I will include this chart in the link of the video, and then I'll send it out in the app.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.